But before we move on to this next one, again, I just want to talk about the importance of playing your own game instead of the opponent's. Astro had a fantastic reinitiation comp, right? They jump on us, drop the Fear No Evil, pick a target, and go for it. And unfortunately, Astro found themselves either chasing too hard or being the initiators. If Astro want to continue on this tournament and continue on to win, I think that's what we have to see. We have to see them play the game that they bring to the table. They did a great job in picks and bans, but they didn't execute it properly.
Let's see if they can fix that. Game 2 coming up right now. Picks and bans. We'll see if leftovers are going to get Amy again. Once again, they are first pick, so Astro choosing to be Chaos side once again.
Both teams choosing where they want to go, and Giannis taken off by leftovers. So Cherryo, no interest in playing the god of doors. Rapio, strong player on the
It's
Giannis.
not doors, it's portals and transitions. No, they're like, no, we're done. All right, it's just like Robin in open bracket. It's like, all right, we'll play against it once.
Yep.
All right, we're sorry. We apologize.
Thank
Robin, we're gonna ban you, right? Amy's the same way. All right. Yeah, we could be just kidding, ban her out. Right? And that's Ducky. Ducky's like, I'm done with this.
Yeah, no, Ducky
Get me
doesn't,
out. F6.
Doesn't want to look for that. Does not want to seek Amy. Chiron picked up by the leftovers. This is repeatedly sang as the numero uno hunter, but is he a first pick?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason is it's a little bit. So I'm going to paint a picture for you. We're going way back, right? Picks and bans are going to continue. We're going to take a break from it real quick.
We're gonna draw a happy little picture.
Hunters were monstrous, right? They had very easily accessible crit.
Oh yeah.
They also had good builds against frontliners with the unicorn build. They were monsters. They were one of the most effective carries in the game. Season 2, they lose the blue buff. A lot of their base abilities get adjusted to not clear as heavily, and the crit gets more expensive. Unicorn build gets, gutted with kin size nerf, right? So it's fine. So now Hunters now go from one of the most effective carries to the least effective. Okay. And by the end of the year, what we saw was Chiron, Soul, and Neith become dominant. And that's because they have very strong base abilities. And so they can clear heavily and make impactful damage in early game team fights, right? Now, they didn't become, monsters late game, but they were more impactful in the early game. And that's still what we're seeing, right? I think with the current build, they're more impactful than they were on auto attacks, but it's still, you want your hunters to be in these fights early doing meaningful damage, and that's why we see Chiron, Neith, and Soul top tier.
We're seeing a lot more of those ability hunters, and of those ability hunters, the early to mid game, as you said.
Yes.
And with the mages building do more, the handoff comes a little bit backwards. As you said, Season 1, it was somebody would hand it off to the hunter. Now the hunter's doing much of the heavy lifting early to mid, and we're seeing the mages come together to really provide the late game. And Team Astro going to lean on the Chronos for the late game here, and that's a fantastic pick.
More importantly, they pick up the Neith, right? So they have now pressure, right? And that can either be the mid or the Soul lane, and they're going to ban Isis. And my assumption is that this Neith is mid, and they're going to run the Chronos in the Soul lane again.
Okay.
Just because you want that pressure, because Chronos can be fine against Chiron early, right? You still kind of want to farm up to late game, but just having that Neith in mid, who's going to be able to rotate and contest mid camps is very important.
See, I'm the opposite situation. I think Chronos can go either Hunter or the mid lane, but I don't want him solo because he's going to get invaded by a Hunbatz with a slow and a solo laner.
I don't know, man. Game Hunter would probably tell you differently. We didn't see him play it yet, but I know I've heard tales. Bellona going to be picked up for Astro, so a very strong pick in the Soul lane. Something to note, too, is Astro actually banned away not only Isis, but Raw as well, and that is completely targeted against Cherryo. So instead of killing people with laser beams, instead he's going to kill them with monster dogs, and then kill more people with monster dogs because his ult gets reset.
Monster dog?
Monster dog. I'm a monster, right? And so, she throws the dogs, the dog heads down.
All right.
I think.
I like Scylla a lot more now.
Oh, she's so good in this meta. And also, a very good setup on Athena and Guan horse, right? That Guan horse probably isn't going to be used for damage. It's probably going to be used for, I'm going to hit you once and then jump off and stun everyone.
I maintain that Guan's cavalry, the horse out of Guan is one of the best initiates in the game. I think you can get multiple stuns off of it. It comes seemingly out of nowhere as long as you're not just charging down the lane like Mulan. It's fantastic.
What do you mean? And the trumpets go. You're just running down mid lane. Thor picked up, and so Astro now have a lot of early pressure, and I love this, as well as the Khepri, who's going to help transition this Chronos in the mid and late game. So we'll have to see if they play aggressive, though.
Sure.
They can't just... Man, it's so hard to say, right? Because also, leftovers have the push with Guan over Bellona.
Now,
they have Chiron.
Real quick, I want to go to this one. How do you feel about the Hunbatz here? I mean, Hunbatz is always good, but how do you feel about Hunbatz in this pick?
It's interesting because Scylla and Batz are going to have, like, no pressure early. Like, they can't really fight at all. They're just going to farm up, which is fine as long as leftovers make sure not to get over-aggressive and try and force engagements, unless they feel like they can just outplay them mechanically.
I just feel like this is a missed opportunity,
It's risky.
Kevin. This is a Thanatos pick.
Oh, my God. Get out of here.
No, this is an easy breezy Thanatos pick. Thanatos is the anti-Thor, obviously. He's semi-global just like Thor. He could follow him up and set the pace of the game however he wants. And he gets rid of Zigox's ultimate.
Here's why. I'm going to tell you exactly why, right? Because Athena and Guan don't really peel, right? Athena can peel, but she's not very good at it, right? She has one ability on her taunt.
Taunt's fantastic.
Yeah, but like then you're done, right? It's better to use that aggressively because your one is a dash. It's a gap closer, right?
Sure, I'll give
you
that
want
to
your
you.
Athena to be aggressive. Same with Guan. You want them to frontline. They can't really peel. The peel is damage, right?
Right.
And what's going to happen is the Batz is going to just fear no evil. The second Sanjo or Ducky dive onto Cherryo, because that's exactly what their goal should be. He's going to drop Fear No Evil and keep his mid laner alive. They're going to reset the fight, and they're going to find Cherryo with some nice setups. That's the goal.
All right.
That's the goal.
That's a harsh goal. I'm just seeing the Thanatos gets rid of the ultimate out of Zigox. It deals with Sanjo very well. It's better setup for Cherryo in the mid lane off of the stun that can be converted into either crush damage or I'm a monster damage. But leftovers opting for, instead of the straight assassin, the team fight assassin. We'll see how things work out for jungler here as he faces the mid lane Chronos, and Neith finds herself all the way in the duo lane.
Astro can't be scared to fight. They have this Chronos Thor. They're going to win the 2v2. Make use of your composition.
Yes. Exactly.
Right? Leftovers aren't even trying to fight. They just want to try and steal this. That's all. And honestly, they're winning by delaying them, because even if they don't steal it, the waves are going to be equal. And Astro is so scared. They also have a winning duo lane.
Yeah.
Look, Leftovers played that perfectly.
Yeah, they make Astro waste a bunch of time by the mid.
Now they're going to have pressure. They can honestly pinch them here, and Astro can't just walk into this wave now.
Such a small
play. Look at it. They're already being aggressive in mid.
Yeah, look at that. Such a small play leads to a huge opportunity, and Sanjo finds himself dead. Jungler with the first kill on the map. And Chronos going to suffer a lot of damage, but ultimately not fall.
Such intelligent play. Leftovers.
Very well played.
Leftovers and Torpedo look so good, right? They're not pressing buttons. They're thinking about the game. They didn't want to fight those mid-harpies. They know they lose. So what they do is, like, they just scare Astro into not doing them. And instead of Astro being aggressive and trying to force the fight, they just sit there. They lose the pressure in mid, and they get pinched on the rotation, and they pick up first blood for free.
And a lot of people sit here and roll their eyes when commentators talk about missing 1 or 2 minions or wasting 2 or 3 seconds. That's the result. You lose first blood, you lose lane pressure. That's the result of 1 or 2 minions. And that's the result of 3 extra seconds at mid-heart.
And now Leftovers are going to make sure that Sanjo can't get big early, because that was the goal of Astro, is Sanjo put out pressure, right? They have the pressure in dual lane with this Neith Khepri. And then, Astro were going to flip the switch, right? They were going to be the ones trying to force the fights early. Now, Sanjo's so far behind, and he's getting poked even just when he returns from base, that he can't make those aggressive plays. And this is going to allow Leftovers to get to the late game, right? Get to their power spike earlier.
Leftovers not having the same success they had in the mid lane and the dual lane, however. Arkkyl down to about 50% HP after getting poked.
Badgah just going to get zoned out a little bit. And I like this from Astro, right? They still have a winning dual lane, and this is kind of what it's going to come down to now is their dual lane, right? Allow the Neith and Khepri to rotate over it and force fights. Chiron normally does so well from ahead, but you match him up against a dual lane with more pressure, and it gets a little bit rough for him. He's still going to make impacts in team fights with his ultimate, but he won't be as effective as the Neith, in a sense, right? Assuming the players are mechanically equal.
Yeah, what they bring to the table is very different, almost. Neith can provide strong roots, and if you add weaves into it, it just becomes crowd control city. Even debuffs.
We're gonna hit 5. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's 5.
These are free mid camps. Astro can't even fight these.
Actually,
I like this. Ducky's rotating over. Maybe they can force a fight, and that's exactly what Ducky's gonna do. He's gonna force jungler off, but he's not too tanky. He needs to be careful.
Well played.
Smart. See, this is smart from Astro. They recognize that their core is a little bit weakened, but they don't want to give up everything. So instead, they rotate the winning side lanes over and basically say, if you're going to fight us Leftovers, like, we just have the numbers advantage.
Yeah, you got to all in. You can't just call our bets. So Leftovers unable to take the fight on the right side. It leaves Astro with those Harpies, which shortens the lead out to about 400. It's pretty much just the first blood gold here at 445. Nothing too crazy.
Does jungler have blink? No, he has purification.
Not yet. And I say yet. And I stress yet.
They're baiting Cherryo so hard, and he's staying so... They're like, please go on Cherryo. That's exactly what this is.
Actually, I don't think that this is a game where jungler gets blink, because if all goes as you were mentioning,
Yeah, that's fine. He
the
shouldn't
Fear
be.
No
He
Evil-
shouldn't be the aggressor,
if-
right?
Yeah, exactly. If the Fear No Evil is the peel for Cherryo, then he's not going to be getting blink, and we'll probably see a. I don't know. What do you want to see? A curse? A sprint?
It could be anything, right? And the blink isn't the worst, especially if you start winning fights and you can reinitiate. But I mean, anything, right? A shell, even.
Put it this way: if he buys
Even a
blink,
shell might not be that bad.
if he
I
buys
guess
blink,
Athena
I'm
has
going to
shell.
cry that he's not Thanatos. If he plays defensive like you said, I'll say it's all fair.
Sprint as well could be good for him, just helping get Cherryo out, or
Exactly.
if his team wants to re-aggress, especially considering Athena went shell, right? I mean, I'm assuming she's going to go sprint as well, but she could go curse, right? There's so many relics that your team could figure out based on how you want to play the game, right? Based on how you want to play team fights, excuse me. Ducky though winning this soul lane, putting so much pressure on Nika, and Nika
Nika's
could be
in
in trouble
trouble.
here, a little bit off the mark. He'll live.
Smart ultimate there to immune both the stuns coming out from Neith and the solo lane. However, in the mid lane, Thor's going to miss his target, but the shells pop, so no later damage from Berserker's
Arkkyl.
Barrage will be there. Arkkyl showing up a little dangerously, but he'll be fine.
Out-rotates the Neith. Nice pressure from him, excuse me. And
Nice
something to note
play
is
by
now that
Neith.
this Khepri is roaming a little bit more, the Chiron
yeah.
will be fine. And so a lot of it's going to come down to like very small things that happen in this lane on who's going to be able to rotate better.
And Neith, don't forget, Neith is the character that can rotate without
Cherryo.
rotating, really.
He's fine.
Just tossing out an ultimate from Neith. That's half a rotation,
Yes.
right? And she doesn't
And that's
have
what we
to
saw in the
move.
soul lane too,
Yeah.
right? Obviously, stuff didn't work out, but that was their attempt.
Yeah, that's what leaves Neith as one of my favorite characters, is because she doesn't have to. She can multitask. Not many characters can multitask. You look at it like a Vulcan.
Oh,
and
Cherryo. He could be in a lot of trouble. Beads.
has to beads
Dash
there,
away.
yeah.
Nice. And now this 160-second window, Sanjo needs, this is his opportunity, right? He lost a lot of pressure from giving up first blood on a poor rotation early, or from, poor decision making early. Now that those beads are down, this is his time to force something, right? Not this second, but within the next 2 minutes, he needs to make a play on Cherryo.
Yeah, we definitely need to see some action.
They
in the
need to
mid
get
lane
control
for
of this
Team
game.
Astro. It's not going to be this moment, though. Thor just crossing the street here in the mid lane. Everybody sees him and knows where he is. And that's intentional. Team Astro want to take these Harpies with no contention. And that's
Leftovers
exactly
are
what
fine with
happens.
this. Leftovers are entirely fine with this, right? They basically stopped Astro because of that first blood from being able to do anything for the first 7 minutes, which was the best window that Astro had.
Right.
Now, they just want to keep the game as even as possible. You're not going to see Leftovers force any Gold Furies unless they find a pick. No other reason should they force Gold Fury.
And Astro, I mean, honestly, both teams really want to sort of play the waiting game. Honestly. Like, if you're looking at Astro, they don't want to engage too much unless they can guarantee a Thor gank. If Thor can isolate a Scylla by herself, go for it. Other than that, just sort of wait for Rapio to get there.
That's true. Like, Astro's team comp transfers over very well to late game as well.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting. I think it'll be small pickoffs, if anything, that'll happen. No one's really going to try and make an engagement happen, right? Outside of, if anyone does, it will be Astro, like you said. Thor ganks.
Exactly. Thor right now can do what he wants to do, but it's going to require a little bit of setup, or at least preemptive purification being taken off the table, like right now. But time's running short. That purification is going to be up any time soon, and he's got about a little bit less than a minute if he wants to.
I don't think
go
they're
jump
going to
Scylla.
try and make anything happen. I really doubt it. It's a little bit risky, right? And I feel like Leftovers have kind of scared them. I feel like they're scared to make plays like that. That's
Sure.
what's most important, is we haven't, especially after last game, where like, last game they had the comp that shouldn't chase and dive.
Trouble.
This time they have the case that should.
Wlfy bobbing and weaving. One of those shots out
Nice
of the
juice.
Chiron ultimate's going to
Look
hit.
at this rotation too. Khepri's here as well. Can't get the last auto. Sanjo misses his ult. Hammers forward. Gonna
Woof.
miss everything, actually.
Yeah, unfortunate for Sanjo. He's not going to be able to really hit the broadside of the bar.
I
with
think he
those
was.
hits.
I didn't see where he lifted off from, but I think he was just out. I think that was the max range Thor ult.
I mean, I assume so. I think it was pretty much just, oh, Neith's in trouble, we got to respond ASAP, but it's no excuse for the wall, Kevin.
Hey man,
It's no excuse for the wall, Kevin.
let him live his life. He can miss. I'll give him that wall. If he misses like 2 or 3 more in a row, then I can't help him. This is the gank they need.
There's the purification the
But it's back
second
up.
time.
If that was like 15 seconds earlier.
Yep.
15 seconds earlier. Sanjo caught out in the jungle, half his life, gonna be able to hammer away. Question is, can he be chased, Arkkyl?
He's fine.
No ultimate. Rotation from Astro as well. Gonna just try and pull Gold Fury here. This is a little bit risky.
This is a big push.
They have no idea though.
Yeah, it's already down to half HP.
Leftovers caught sleeping. Athena just backed.
No vision. Team Astro take the lead with a quick hit onto the Gold Fury. 600 gold, not much, but it's about to swing, folks. And Astro, despite being down in the kills, now lead.
So this is Leftovers are gonna smell it out now.
Yeah.
But what I liked about that is I think they honestly did it based on what they were looking at, right? So all Leftovers saw after they aggressed onto Sanjo there was 3 or 4 members all retreating into their own jungle, right? The second they leave the Gold Fury vision range, they all turn back in. And so they had assumed that Astro had all backed. We saw Athena back in the base. She wasn't even thinking. She was thinking about the item she wanted to complete.
This is the point of games where I really want to see the player cam, because you saw Arkkyl walk up and just see the Gold Fury dead.
Like,
and,
man.
And that's one of those situations that if you at home play Smite, you've had that. Where you just walk to the gold.
Aggressive
When did they get the gold? And that's the situation that Arkkyl and his team find themselves in right now. So
Badgah trying to get ward control vision. Nika looks like he wanted to aggress into the pigs or the blue buff. And Ducky just going to slap fight him away. Ducky actually 400 gold lead. I guess 300 of it from Gold Fury. Roughly. A little bit less than that.
Yeah, Gold Fury come that way. Just some old-fashioned boxing match going here.
God, I love solo. Just Warriors beating away for like 20 minutes. But look at this. Zigox in a bad spot, going to get taunted out. He does have his ultimate, but Fear No Evil not going to be able to, or going to, excuse me, stop that in time.
Now that's quite a different story than what we were looking at over in the solo lane. Jump over the stun coming from jungler, but the 1-2 punch, Rapio takes the kill and then uses the ultimate to put himself back at 100% HP.
I'm a monster.
I'm a monster is going to take out one, but Nika gets credit, so no continuation for Cherryo.
If I'm a monster
Great
had
play.
reset, that was Leftovers fight, right? They would have continued. Instead, it doesn't reset. They don't feel like they have the best positioning. Back off. Let my Scylla get to late game. Take the small wins. No need to force more. No need to over-aggress.
And we've seen Leftovers are willing to take the small leads and not get ahead of themselves. Both casters sat here saying, win the game, while they turned around after taking a mid-Phoenix.
I wasn't 100%. I was like, I think they can win here.
They
but
had
it was an F6 anyway.
They had a Scylla. Or they had an Isis building full tank. That was the only person in between them and a win. But they get the win anyway. So Leftovers have proven that they're willing to play the patient game. So take that kill and run.
Solo laners beating at each other. Both have finished breastplate. It looks like Ducky working on his winged blade. And we've seen this item. Right, this item has always been around, but it's being picked up a little bit more now, especially against teams that have multiple slows.
It's so interesting because I personally think this item got worse.
With CC reduction?
Yeah.
Especially considering that's capped at like 40%.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It's interesting. I liked Wingblade. I like it. And if you have a god with high base abilities, it's good. But I think I just prefer Frostbound. Right? It gives damage. Sure. It is a little bit more expensive, but a lot of health. Like, it's just, Frostbound's so good.
It's a lot of health with no movement speed, but you can argue that the passive sort of negates the movement speed, right? You're slowing your target down. But in that way, Frostbound is more of an offensive defensive item, as opposed to Winged Blade being a defensive offensive item. Does that make any sense?
Someone. Someone out there. Oh, Cherryo going to get caught out. Neith ult does have his purification. Actually, I'm a monster.
I thought it was going to hit, but unfortunately for Cherryo, not going to find the mark. Sanjo takes down Badgah, and that's a clean one for O. And Astro take a page out of Leftovers' book. They take the kill, they wipe their prints, and they run.
So Cherryo, unless he pops Sanctuary, he's going to take that damage anyway. Instead, pops his ultimate, which is on a shorter cooldown than both his Purification and his Sanctuary. Also, considering that they were trying to fight, love that play from him. Doesn't work out, though, and Badgah gets picked off.
Where did that damage come from? Oh, it came from Cherryo. He throws the crush down on Chronos and brings him down to about 25%. And Khepri still in tow, able to make sure that nobody's going to be too far away without a life raft. Vision going the way of Leftovers on the left side of the mid lane. Thanks to the Hunter, Arkkyl, dropping the wards.
Ducky. Gonna take a little bit of poke. He'll be fine, though. We've been seeing this all game. Wing Blade is completed, though. Is just procced there. Actually, Ducky taking a lot of poke.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage coming out from the Guan.
Guan actually building into CDR. You can see him working on that Jotun's Wrath now, and I like this, right? He puts a little bit more damage into his kit. He's not... He is... It's interesting, right? Because he is tanky, but not tanky at the same time, right? He has no health on his items, which is very dangerous. And if Team Astro recognizes this, they could burn him down.
Sure.
But he also has max CDR with this build, which means he's going to be healing a lot.
You're going to see this
very often.
You're going to see this Guan zigzag healing throughout team fights. Dash heal, dash heal, dash heal,
in the air.
dash heal.
It looks like they're going for Badgah. No, off the mark once again. Arkkyl didn't even know he was coming crashing down. Nice Sanctuary, and Sanjo going to get picked up before it happens.
Love the Sanctuary, and I love the hit from Cherryo, but it's still not enough. Chronos Rewind going to put himself back in a safe spot, and there's a stun that's going to be purified out by the jungler. Now there's a sprint. Everybody on Team Astro getting aggressive, and this is a good shot for them. It's a 4-on-3. Fear No Evil going to send Team Astro walking backwards, and leftovers are all safe.
Good play from both teams there. Red buff going to be stolen away. Badgah, though, looking for a taunt. A lot of players grouped up. Crush. Oh,
no
Rapio's
rewind.
in a lot of trouble.
No
He's going to
rewind.
be taunted. No, actually baits out the purification. Over the top, Nika does pick up Rapio, but now all the carries on Astro are getting cornered.
There's the mid laner coming here. Cherryo picks up one. Cherryo picks up two. Jungler takes the double kill as well. That's two for the mid and jungler each on the side of leftovers. Everybody dead except for Sanjo. And let's hit the goal.
It's the same story as Raw. Leftovers know how to disengage a fight, heal up, this time not with Raw heal, but with Guan heal, and then re-engage. Badgah finding a nice taunt. More importantly, he knew that Rapio did not burn his purification in that fight. He waits. He doesn't immediately taunt. He's just like, do it. Do it, do it. Rapio doesn't. He has to. He has to preemptively, because even if it's a split second, being taunted back towards the Athena was certain death. Forced to do it, and then, you know, Astro trying to body block for their teammates, but it's just not enough, and the constant Guan heal is doing so much work.
And then to sing the praises of Cherryo real quick one more time. Spaced himself correctly as soon as we saw the reinitiation was coming in from his team. Comes in from the left side, and, I mean, you knew he was going to do
This team looks good. So what I like about this squad is they've got only, you know, I talked a lot about them bringing new members, but it's really only Arkkyl and Nika at this point, right? Cherryo, Jungler, aka Fails, and Badgah have been there for a while, and I think Cherryo is an intelligent player, right?
Yes.
And his mechanics are being showcased so much better in mid, and you could see how good this player actually is, but Cherryo is a very intelligent player, and I think Badgah is as well. And that's one of the most important things in top-level Smite, right? There's a lot of players that can press buttons. Some of them can press them faster than the others. But there's not a lot of teams that think about the game at a high level, right? The teams you do see, Epsilon, you know, Cloud9, Paradigm, Fnatic, they've been at the top of the game forever, and they haven't been dethroned.
And I think this is a perfect situation for Fails to find himself in, because Fails has been on the cusp of pro play for so long, right? And Badgah's sort of this player that has played at a very high level, and Cherryo is this player that has played at a high level, but maybe not as high as he has deserved or found that team yet. And they're great people to sort of teach Fails the ins and outs of how to play this.
Two-man. Look at this, though. Rapio coming around the side. They immediately turn on him. His ultimate is available. He's going to pop it.
Thor down again. Oh, this time he actually does hit, and it's Arkkyl off the side. Kick is strong, and everybody's all sorts of mixed up by himself in the back. Is Jungler. He's going to be safe, and Ducky's going to dodge out the damage from the mid lane. And here's the reinitiation from Nika, looking for a couple of stuns. Not going to hit anybody, but leftovers ready to fight again with their second reinitiation.
No ultimates on either team, but right now Nika, the healing doing so much. They're going to be able to take this tier 1 tower and now aggress onto the tier 2. And look at this, all these players on Astro, they're forced to back. A teleport's coming, but I don't think they could fight this two-man taunt coming out from Badgah.
And there's the damage going on to Ducky. He'll still be relatively healthy.
Different
Badgah, on the other hand, he's taking the tower. He's taking all of Team Astro. And Badgah's going to be fine, but the leftovers not going to get the tier 2, and they're going to have to turn around.
Oh, unfortunate. Astro, they're not focusing these players down. We saw Rapio, I believe it was on Nika, you know, the Guan Yu, who's full health. If he had did any amount of damage to Badgah, he would have been guaranteed dead. Can we actually take a look at player healing? I really want to take a look at this. 10,000.
Wow.
My man has 10,000. He has as much healing as anyone outside of Cherryo has damage in the game.
That's 5 lives, essentially.
That's so important.
Right? If you just like pretend that everybody's 2,000 health, that's 5 lives that he's saved over the course of the game. And that sort of impact when it comes to Guan Yu, it's sneaky healing because you don't see it the way you see a big hell heal. But I mean, we've discussed this almost incessantly, whenever there's a Guan in the picture, is that these team fights just last so much longer because you're able to stay there.
I think that Thor is going for Brawlers here. I'm going to assume. Like, Brawlers is obviously the best pickup, and I like this. Especially for a Thor who has a lot of tick damage on his abilities, going to be able to reduce a lot of healing.
Arkkyl. He's
sure
going to
he's
get the
dead.
Athena ultimate, and that'll save the life of the Hunter on the side of Team Leftovers. And Astro not happy about that one at all.
That's
they
fine.
wanted that kill.
But they bait the Athena ult out, and I believe he popped Purification as well. No, he popped Sanctuary as well.
Sanctuary!
So that's fine, right? They get an ult, and they get a relic for essentially walking into a lane.
Is that from Hunchback of Notre Dame?
I don't know. I've never actually seen it. That's one of the few Disney I've never seen it.
I don't know.
Thor in the air. Can he find Badgah? No,
Oh,
he actually finds
lands on
Arkkyl.
Arkkyl.
Perfect, but taunted away. Arkkyl on full retreat. There's the Neith ult double tap.
Big hit.
Arkkyl, I don't think he has enough damage to secure a kill and heal up. And Astro, nice pick by them, but teleport in by Guan.
Sanjo gets the stun when it counts,
Shell.
and Badgah, he's got nowhere to go.
Nice
He's
body
rooted,
blocks.
he's smacked. Badgah's going to
Rapio's
live a little
really
bit longer.
deep.
And that's going to be the rewind out of the Chronos. So Astro, once again, find themselves in what looks like a perfect situation, but unable to really finish the conversation.
Ooh, Cherryo taking a lot of damage. Nice stun. Could get double tap. Doesn't
Bang.
matter. Rapio finds it. And now Zigox going to pluck out Badgah here. This is a good fight for Astro. And look at all the damage though coming out from the Guan Yu. No healing for him. And Nika, 4v1, somehow comes out on top with the kill.
Guan Fu coming down the left
He's just,
side.
they can't do anything. He has so
Not
much
afraid.
cooldowns. Now they could if they can find any stun. But
Not afraid.
oh, Rapio's in a lot of trouble. Nice stun. One more hit. Nika.
Not afraid. Guan Yu 1v4 takes out 2.
Rapio, you don't need
before
to be
taking a
you don't
spill.
need to be melee range with Chronos, man. You don't need to
Wow.
be melee range with Chronos.
Team Astro finally get the tower.
Just gotta hit auto attacks. They're long range.
Finally.
They go a distance.
Get the tier 1.
All your abilities as well. They travel a distance.
Isn't Chronos like Geb? He does more damage when he's up front?
Oh, the ground
The
pound.
ground pound?
Stealing that one from Allied. He
Yeah.
called it the ground pound. I was like, wow, how have I never called it that? It's so good.
The problem is I always call Kabrakan Tremors ground pound. That's the
Oh,
problem.
that's fair.
That's the
That's
problem.
fair. And that is the true ground
Yeah.
pound. That's like the ground slam.
You know what you call Geb's knockout?
What do you call it?
The carpet pull. You're like, you're like
You don't like send them back. That's
I-
more.
there's no
That's
ca-
more like Hercules knockout.
No. There's no caster cam, but when you grab the end and like you send a ripple, like you
They're gonna like
shake
go
it,
to caster cam. Just
you like
as
shake
do that.
the rug. It's like a rug shake.
All right,
more
Gold
than anything
3 being
else.
started up. Game. Gold 3 being started up by Astro here. It's at half-life, and Leftovers,
Nah, they're
once
well
again,
aware.
caught sleeping.
Nah, this
Sanjo
time they're aware.
Cherryo might be able to make a play here, but he's going to be walled off.
Beautiful ultimate out of Jungler is going to send everybody walking around and take the leash out of the Gold Fury. Here's the reinitiation
I'm a
coming out from
monster.
Astro. And there's I'm a Monster going to take out damage, but Wlfy able to put out Badgah first. Ducky on the back line looking for the mid laner, but Cherryo creates distance and everybody will walk away. And now Astro, 5 members deep, looking for more as Badgah takes a spill. And they have the numbers advantage. Red team will return to the Gold Fury.
Leftovers, though, they're going to be able to heal up with the Squan. You can see them already back at full
This is
health.
not
Ducky
safe.
and Sanjo are under half. This is not safe for either team.
Jungler's ultimate is down, which is big, but as you can see, it's still not safe for the amount of damage Cherryo can dish out. Ultimate out of Khepri and Rewind already used, but now Astro looking for the reinitiation.
Nika.
If they take out
They
Nika,
need to
they
kill
take
Nika.
out the
Oh!
fight. But Cherryo able to turn around and take out Ducky before anything happens. And Jungler, again, finds himself on the better side of a kill.
Sanjo,
Sanjo's
no
going to
mana.
spill as well. Double kill for the mid laner. And Leftovers, again, find themselves on the good side of an Astro reinitiation.
It's the same story all game. Jungler gonna find Zigox. There's Fear No Evil up once again, and now only one player left alive, but Leftovers, they're not even gonna care. They're gonna
Wow.
back off and do Gold Fury. Once again, though, it's just a story of like, we can almost kill the person we need to. Last game it was like, let's kill Raw, just barely not enough damage. Game 2, let's kill Nika, let's kill the Guan Yu, barely not enough damage. And then they all focused. They were so in tune with trying to kill him. They all go into a pinch point, and Cherryo has that root at max level, meaning it's finding up to three players, and then just so much damage coming out of the Scylla. Don't even need I'm a Monster at this point. Crush is swinging.
Crushes is actually crushing it, but I'm going to ask you a very black and white question, Adanas.
Okay.
Astro, I like what they're doing, but they're just not, it seems like their strategy is correct, their X's and O's are correct, but they're not able to actually
Execute.
push their
It's-
buttons. Is Leftovers just a better team?
I think they are a smarter team. Right?
Okay.
Individual player skill, It's
Because
that's
I
always
feel
hard
like-
to judge, but like it could be equal, right? Sanjo's been off the mark a little bit. Rapio,
Because I feel like I
some
see
poor
the same
decision-making.
level of intelligence out of the red side. I feel like Astro is making correct decisions and intelligent plays.
I think
but they're just getting outsmoked.
it's once the team fight starts, that's when they break down, right? They
Yeah.
understand what they have to do
Right.
outside of that very early game where Sanjo and Rapio made a poor decision at mid camps. But they understand what they have to do. But when the team fight starts, that all breaks down and they chase into small corridors against a Scylla.
Let's take a look how it turns this time around. They've isolated Badgah, and Thor's going to land on the backside looking for Arkkyl, who's already down very low. I'm a Monster, though, takes out Rapio, still up in the chain, going to hit hard on the Khepri, but he'll live long enough to ult himself. Right side, Sanjo actually winds up on the good side of a kill thanks to Arkyl's damage taken early in the team fight. And
Ducky.
Nika, on the other hand, he's swinging, he's dealing, he's killing. Zigox spills as well. Ducky, all by his lonesome.
He's dead.
There's 4 blue jerseys and only 1 red, and they're both gone. Jungler, double kill.
It's going to be 4 dead, and once again, Wlfy, the only player left alive. And it seems like he's the one calling full retreat, but the rest of the team, they're trying to fight, right? They're just, it's just like deaths that compound on top of each other. Fire Giant going to be started up. Wlfy has no intention of even stopping this.
No, there's no
and that's
way.
going to be an FG4 leftovers. 18-9 reads the kills. It looks like about only a 5K gold lead. Not super massive. 5,500 after the Fire Giant's taken, but it's just how leftovers are playing. They have full momentum and 20K healing on Guan.
More often than not, when we talk
No, I
about
said,
leads,
I said 20K healing on Guan. I don't know if you...
20K. I'll make fun of you for it later. More often than not, a lot of times we spend our time sort of understating the lead. Oh, it's 1,000 gold, but it's not much. You know, this time around it's the other way around. 5,500 gold really isn't that big of a lead, but it feels so much different because of how these teams have been fighting.
A lot of that too is like it's the momentum factor, right?
Exactly.
Leftovers have had momentum for most of the game. Like once I think the 10-minute once the 10-minute mark hit, they had full control, right? Even though Astro were making the aggressive plays, it's just like it's just a matter of time. You just feel it in yourself, right? It's just a matter of time before Leftovers win this fight because they're playing it perfectly. They understand their team comp. They're not splitting up. They're disengaging properly. They're healing up, and they're re-engaging when Astro is still chasing them way too deep.
And big picture status, I mean, this is really where this game can get into your set head, right? You're sitting here in game number 2. You lost game number 1 if you're in the shoes of Team Astro. And you're trailing by 5K. It feels like a lot because you're losing virtually every single team fight.
The worst part is that the team fights are close, right?
Yeah.
Like this game is still close. Where Astro, if they just figure out what they need to do and don't chase as hard, like they could start winning these fights. Because there's been a couple close instances where Nika has almost fell or has got picked off, right?
Yeah.
If they can lock him down and not over-aggress, they can win fights. Sanjo takes to the sky. It looks like Astro wants to hold here.
Nika's going to be in the front.
Look at this. Leftovers, no, they
space.
disengage.
Sanjo just hits Cherryo, but here's the Fear No Evil out of Jungler, and it's going to send everybody running. Cherryo with 1. Cherryo with not 2 as he's jumped over by Ducky, and Ducky's going to put the nail in the coffin as he looks for the mid laner, but taken out by Cherryo's crush. Meanwhile, on the front side, damage being dealt by the solo laner for Leftovers. Everybody's still standing. Everybody still has a Fire Giant around their waist. Everybody pushing down this left-hand side. Leftovers looking very strong in our 27th minute.
Jungler just hits a perfect ton bat song.
Okay.
Finds 4. The second Sanjo comes, allowing no follow. This game is over, right? That was all Jungler. Perfect timing on the ultimate. Cherryo locks down Chronos before he can rolling in that team fight with I'm a Monster. And just such a clean engage. Ducky does his best to try and lock down Cherryo, but even if Cherryo dies, Leftovers still win that game.
Yes, without a doubt. And you know what? I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. All right. Thanatos wouldn't have been able to do what that Fear No Evil did in that last exchange. So
I know what I'm talking
Jungler
about. Every
comes
once
out
in a
on
while.
top.
Every 10 games I figure something out.
Every once in a while, Kevin winds up on top. But more often than not, Leftovers wind up on top. They came number 1 in their open bracket to wind up here. And in game 1 and 2, they take home the victory. Let's see how game number 2 started. And you said it all ended with Jungler, and here it started.
So here's my thing with this, right? Is that this first blood, right, you can recover from first blood
Sure.
a lot, right? It's like first blood, it sucks, but we can still fight into it. The problem was that you really wanted that Thor and Chronos to out-pressure the Hunbat's Scylla, and you got outplayed mentally, right?
Yes.
They never even wanted to fight at those mid-camps. What happened is they waited for the wave to push up. Once the wave met, they're like, okay, like, we didn't actually want to fight you. We were just trying to steal it or, like, delay you. So they delayed them properly, and then they go and clear the wave. And then for some reason, Sanjo decides to walk back into mid lane with a full wave and 2 players in front of him, and he gets picked up.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again,
And they lost the pressure, right? They needed to have that pressure on Thor, right? They had a winning dual lane as well with Khepri Neith, right? They had strong push. They could have rotated. They could have looked for early picks and forced early gold throughs. They were able to sneak one, actually, I believe 2, but still, that was just a debilitating first blood for them.
Exactly. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. And unfortunately for Astro, that is a very big part of the game right there. And it's going to be part of the reason why they find themselves down 2-0. And just to reiterate, I mean, the small things really count. That was an extra 3 seconds near those mid-RPs, like I said. And it wound up being the entire early game. So Cherryo, not quite the early game god, but definitely late game resurgence on the Scylla, definitely coming into his own and able to look at the spacing. That's what I love.
Yo, look at
about
the Chronos.
Yeah, just watch.
He's
Just
like,
flag surfing.
he's like, just I give up on this game. I'm just gonna lay on the floor, man. It's over. But like, yeah, this is the perfect disengage, right? Cherryo gets out and Astro drive very deep. They heal up with Guan Yu and they reaggress. Badgah finds a really nice taunt to start this fight off right, or I guess to start the second phase of the fight off.
Cherryo plays these mid mages the way you're supposed to drive behind a fire truck.
Yo, he doesn't even have legs right now, man. How are you gonna fight with no legs?
It's like the entire team fight just has this sign: please stay back 40 feet, right? And Cherryo is just always outside of the picture because he knows how far his range is. He's able to impact that fight, get out of the last
Positioning is so
one,
good
because his positioning is always an arm's reach away from the team fight.
Look at this. This is a perfect ultimate by Jungler too, and then he locks him down with the ult, right? And I'm pretty sure the Fear No Evil, yeah, it did hit the Thor as well as the rest of the team. I think only Wlfy was out of range. Cherryo finds that reset, and Ducky almost secures him, but it doesn't even matter at this point because
Sanctuary!
Yeah, even if he kills him, like, the game's still over. And this is something I want to talk about too, because a lot of times in these games, there's some poor play from players. I think Astro played very well. I just think Leftovers played, like, near flawlessly with the team comp they had drafted.
No, see, I mean, that's my thing as well. I'm sitting here watching Astro, and, you know, I want to continue. This is only a best of 5. I would totally watch a best of 7.
Like, Astro are so close to being at Leftovers level.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why I asked you the question I asked you in game number 2, because we're seeing the intelligent plays out of Astro. We're seeing intelligent pick and ban phases. We're seeing the right peels. We're seeing the right aggression. We're even seeing the right de-escalation, right? The walk away. But Leftovers just seem to have the number of Team Astro. And as we move into game number 3, we'll see if Leftovers have what it takes to seal the deal here in one game, or if Team Astro will push things further. Stay tuned. We've got more Smite coming at you live.